just getting started with introductions. So I'm Catherine Lucas. I'm a volunteer for Lake County United Libertyville team, and I'm a member of North Shore Unitarian, which is how I ended up in Lake County United volunteering. And I thought one of the values of Lake County United is to get to know people beyond the specific project that we're working on at the moment. So we usually throw something into our introductions, like something interesting and individualized about ourselves. So I thought it would be a fun one to do. What's the first thing we're looking forward to do this summer as restrictions hopefully lift? So I think we're all looking forward to that. So I'm looking forward to traveling back to Cleveland and celebrating my mom's 80th birthday in person. Really hoping. She's 81 now, but we're gonna do the milestone birthday. So that yeah, that's me. And then I'll throw it to Shaquille.
I'm Shaquille Syed. I'm part of Lake County United, representing Islamic Foundation North. And then interesting thing about me, what I'm looking for, I'm actually planning to go in New Orleans, and I can't wait to go there. Hopefully everything will be clear by then. I've never been to New Orleans before, so family trip planning for after the pandemic. So looking forward to that. Let me throw it to Art.
Hi, I'm Art Noparstak with Congregation Or Shalom in Vernon Hills, also a member of Lake County United. I have a small bucket list, and one of them is to visit every baseball park in the country, and I'm hoping to visit at least one or two more this summer.
Awesome.
Oh.
Sharon?
I'm Sharon Starr, and I live in Libertyville. I'm a member of St. Lawrence Episcopal Church, and through the church, Lake County United. And I am really most looking forward to singing with choirs again, because that has been just impossible for the last year plus. And so I'm already signed up to sing in the Green Lake, Wisconsin Choral Festival the last weekend in June. And I'm hoping that Chicago Master Singers, where I also sing, will be at least trying to get back into it with some outdoor, open sings or whatever this summer. So that's going to be wonderful. I can't wait. So Leo.
Leo Everson with Leo Pardo Construction. I'm the Director of Business Development, specifically for their multi-residential and affordable housing. I guess one of the things I'm very much excited about for, COVID being over, the summer is I'm not much of a cook, so I'm sick of delivery and DiGiorno, and I'm ready to get back out there and enjoy some finer cuisine than my ramen noodles and pizza. So I will pass it off to Charles. Did we do Charles yet?
No.
Nope. I am Chuck Nozica. I am part of Lake County United through St. Joseph's Catholic Church in Libertyville. And I am most looking forward to being outdoors. I restore vintage cars, so I'm hoping to go to some outdoor car shows and do a little bit of traveling. This is the first year that I've been retired, so looking forward to getting out of the house.
Well, hi, I'm Patty Lloyd. I'm the Director of Sustainability at Leopardo. And then the role which Catherine brought me in on today is I'm the facilitator of the Chicago Living Future Collaborative, which is like the Illinois chapter for the International Living Future. So I'm really looking forward to having my nieces here this summer. My adult nieces, they had plane tickets last summer and we had to cancel it because of COVID. So they're coming in like 20 days. So I'm really excited to have them and hang out with them.
Excellent. Well, Patty, we've talked a little bit about Lake County United and the types of things we're working on, but Art was going to give us an overview of who Lake County United is and how we're working on this particular Libertyville project. Art?
I'll try to consolidate this as much as possible for a matter of time. Lake County United is part of a nationwide organization called Metro IAF. And we are in the Chicagoland area, for example, there's four affiliates of Metro IAF. Very basically, we're a community-based organization that's made up of mostly faith-based groups. So a mosque, church, synagogues, those kinds of organizations. We have about 25 members. I'm told the number of people who belong to those congregations is about 60,000, 50 to 60,000. And what we do is we, as a community-based organization, we listen to the people in our organizations to find out what their needs are, what they feel the needs of the community are. And then we take a community-based organization outlook on it by coming up with practical solutions, not political solutions, but practical solutions to problems. And it runs a full gamut of things. We work on gun violence prevention, we work on affordable housing, we've worked on creating a behavioral hospital. So there's a number of things that we recently did something, for example, during the pandemic, when people had to use their computers, there were certain areas in Lake County that didn't have the opportunity to have Wi-Fi, broadband. So we got very much involved working with a couple of the carriers to build towers for people. So those are the kinds of things that we do. Directly relating to the Libertyville project, this is what we call the Winchester House property. So Winchester House property is actually owned by Lake County. Okay, it's not owned by the Libertyville. There's no private developer on it. It is Lake County property. And for the last 150 years or so, it's always been for the good of, for people who are in need. So at one time it was a poor farm. Most recently, and it's been different things throughout its history, but most recently it was a elder care facility. I think it was 100 rooms or something like that, 120 rooms, something like that. And the reason that the building, about 15 years ago, they decided that the building was basically could no longer handle the people because it was crumbling. It had asbestos in it. And the county also decided that they didn't want to fund it anymore. So again, Lake County United spent a lot of time, 15 years, helping to find actually a private company to take the place of Winchester House. So they recently, just maybe 6 months ago or a year ago, opened up something called Thrive, which is an elder care facility. It's privately owned in Mundelein. So now we have a situation where Winchester House is on about 18.5 acres of land. They're going to tear the building down, which will take about a 3-month period, probably ending July or August of this year. And basically, there's no plans to do anything with it. We as Lake County United have listened. I've had a number of meetings with, and we continue to have meetings with members of the community, including business, the politicians, people who live in the community. And one of the things that we're hearing is affordable housing and diversity are really important to the community. So we're still in the research phase of this. We're still talking with people, finding out more data about what the community wants, but we are looking toward affordable housing. What that looks like at this point, we're not sure. One of the things that's important to us, though, I should say another thing that's important to us, and we keep on hearing this, is every time we raise the issue of sustainability, everybody is just like smiles on their face, bring the flags out, wave them around. So it's really one of the important aspects of what we're going to be doing. So that's the basic background on this.
So Art, just a quick question for you. So to confirm that it's currently going to be demolished, the current site, it's just empty land, but there's no plans to build anything on it yet. Is that what you're saying? I just want to confirm that.
Correct. So the county and Libertyville both have long-term master plans, but
Mhm.
they were created years ago, and you know, things change. So, and those master, even the master plans don't specify exactly. They give ideas of what can be done with the land, but they don't
Okay.
specify what can be done with the land.
Got it. Okay.
Well, that's
Great.
great. I feel like you've segued us in. Should we start, or were there some other like pre-questions or thoughts?
Do you have any questions?
I'm sure we
No,
will
I
as we
actually-
move along.
Yeah. I'm the talker and Leo's the question asker. He's
Okay. We all have a role. It's the age of specialization.
I was
Well,
just going to say, I did join you all's community meeting. Was it in early April or March? And so frankly, some of your faces are already familiar to me, which is great, but I was really moved by how all these different groups were coming together and how the intention is for the betterment of people. And just on a personal note, like, yeah, I work for a commercial builder, but why is sustainability important to me? It's important because we can improve people's lives with it. And so if you care about people, you typically care about sustainability. And we're going to introduce you guys today to Leopardo, and then to also a very inspiring building rating system. And then we're going to come back at the end and talk about some practicalities about some other green building rating systems and things we know about some of the grants and stuff. It's all going to be very high level, and we're happy to follow up with you guys afterwards if you need more meetings, or we can give you guys more information. But I really thank you for the opportunity today. I'm going to try to get my screen shared here. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we're just going to get right to it. And I'm going to let Leo kick off with a couple of slides here about Leopardo.
All right. So just a little history about Leopardo. So has anybody heard of Leopardo Construction besides the interaction with Patty? Just curious.
I've seen signs.
Okay, cool. So just a little history behind the company. It was founded in 1977 by Jim Leopardo. He's one of four brothers. He started the business in the early 70s, and when he first envisioned the business, he was mostly focusing on interior renovation jobs. And as the company grew, not just throughout the Chicagoland, but nationally, they grew into different markets. So, we're in corporate community, we do hospitality, higher ed. Two of our fastest growing right now is our healthcare, and then, believe it or not, is our multi-residential. And that kind of leads into what we're going to talk about today. My role here is to oversee the affordable housing and the multi-residential. And honestly, I could say we are probably one of the leading GCs in the Chicagoland area that build affordable housing projects. And we actually have some profiles which we'll be able to show you guys today and talk on. But we're in about 30 different states. And then the other thing is, with us too, with Leopardo, and the reason to our success is we focus on relationships and partnerships. About 70% of our business is from repeat clients. So, obviously we all endured quite a lot this past year with COVID. We were able to stay afloat comfortably because of our relationships and with our partners. So, with that being said, I'm going to have Patricia take it from here and talk on. This is some of our market diversity slides, as I just mentioned. But with that being said, I'm going to have Patricia talk on her piece now. So.
Thanks. So the first thing I want to say is this is like a scripted proprietary slideshow, these next slides from the International Living Future Institute. So like I said before, I'm the ambassador of the Chicago and facilitator of the Chicago chapter. And what that part of that role is doing exactly this, doing these ambassador presentations to groups of people to teach them about the Living Building Challenge, and help bring more living projects to Chicago. So the Living Building Challenge has an affordable housing framework. And in that framework, we're going to talk about it today in detail, but they also have a cohort that goes every 3 years, I think, that has about 17 to 20 projects in it. So I think the next cohort starts in a year or two. You don't have to be part of a cohort to seek affordable housing with the Living Future program. But so the International Living Future Institute, their mission is to catalyze the transformation toward communities that are socially just, culturally rich, and ecologically restorative. And their rating system is built off the concept of a flower. So when I talk about petal certification earlier, each imperative is, each petal is broken into sub-imperatives like water, energy, mind. So, but the idea is that a flower takes everything from nature, and within nature creates everything it needs to survive. So it's extremely beautiful and aspirational, and beauty and joy are two of the things that this rating system is supposed to bring. So the International Living Future Institute has a ton of programs and labels and certifications. And I would just say for a building project, what would be relevant? So up at the top, you can see that there's the JUST label. That is a label for organizations. It's a social justice label. So for a Living Future project, you would have to have a couple organizations be JUST certified, and that's part of it. The certifications that we're going to talk about today, I know there's been some interest in the Illinois Clean Energy Community Foundation Net Zero grant. Like, you guys want to know a little more about that. For that grant, a project has to be either Living Building Zero Energy or Living Building Challenge certified. And on this next slide, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what that means. So Living Building Challenge petal certification, specific to the Net Zero grant, would be that you would pursue the energy petal, and then you do all the imperatives in the core rating system. So you'd still be doing some really important things like human scaled living, responsible water use, healthy materials, but you wouldn't be doing in depth every petal of the flower, just the energy. If you weren't doing if you weren't trying to get that Net Zero grant, you could go for a different petal, but the Illinois Clean Energy Foundation Net Zero grant does require the living or the energy petal. And then there's full Living Building Challenge certification, which is all the petals, all the imperatives, and that's what's called a full living project. And we'll share some stuff with you as we go on that. It's always interesting because a full Living Building Challenge is incredibly aspirational and inspirational. And I just recently interviewed for a project, and I thought they were going for petal, and they're like, oh no, we're going for full Living Building Challenge. We want it all. So it's just kind of funny. No matter what level you would pursue, they're all beneficial, beautiful. So the affordable housing framework within international, or the ILFI, really focuses on healthier housing, decreased utility bills, restored connection to nature, and more equitable communities. And I could probably talk about those 4 points all day. Like, what does a connection to nature do to people mentally and to their health and to community networks? What does decreased utility bills do to underserved populations that are actually paying a bigger percentage of their income towards their utility bills or towards their housing bills? So this is all created to help eliminate some of that. There's registered projects all over the US. And I only share this because sometimes people think that net zero projects are really high performing energy efficiency projects, have to be in certain climates, which isn't the case. So there's a framework, the Living Building Challenge framework for affordable housing. So like I said, this living building part is scripted, and those are proprietary slides. And I'm actually not allowed to share those slides with you as a leave behind, but I am going to share with you guys a box.net folder that has like this framework in it if you wanted to dig deeper, and just more information, and I'll talk about that. But so there's a bunch of case studies in the framework, which are really informative. And, you know, coming out of this today, I want to teach you about the Living Building Challenge. I want to teach you about Leopardo. But what I really want to do is open your mind to some of the possibilities around sustainability and green buildings. So there's a lot of great information in the framework. If you are interested in finding out more about the details of the rating system, which we really can't cover in a short thing. But so the cohort started out with pilot projects. So there's 27 registered projects. I believe projects have to be within 30 to 80% of the AMI. And then the resident populations that the ILFI Affordable Housing Program covers are seniors, indigenous tribes, veterans, youth transitioning from foster care, disabled persons, and those formerly experiencing homelessness. And I would also say that if you went to the ILFI website, you could also see case studies there, but there's some really inspirational building, design, construction, and owner groups that are really putting together some important projects that are important to the people that occupy them. So PEDAL certified affordable housing, I kept the slide in even though none of these projects are local to us. So the PEDAL certified projects, like I said, they're going for the core imperatives of the Living Building Challenge, and then they're selecting a PEDAL to pursue. So these are some different ones in Utah, Washington, and Austin. And then this slide brings it a little more local. So we've got, Gary, Indiana here with the Broadway Lofts, Harbor Square, which is East Chicago. Oh yeah, there's a Maywood one. I was gonna say, I thought there were 3 in the area right now going on with the Living Building Challenge. And then I heard that you guys were interested also in just finding out more about the Granite City project. So in the folder I'm going to share with you, and I also would say, like, I can introduce you guys to any of these high performing architects in the area that are specifically designing these types of projects. So like Doug Farr at Farr and Associates, they're a just labeled organization and a benefit corporation. So they're a values driven architecture firm that only does these high performing work. So in the folder I'm going to share with you guys, there's a takeaway on the Broadway Lofts project, which actually I noticed that his handout is only referencing passive house rating system, but it was also a Living Building affordable housing project. So, but the Granite City project, just to speak to that for a second. So there's the Granite City Green Communities, and that's an entire community built around HUD. I'm not sure if you guys have heard of the Enterprise Green Communities Standard. It's a different green building rating system specific for affordable housing. So that Granite City Green Community is built around the Enterprise Green Communities. And then the second phase, which is the one that Doug did, is a passive house 2-unit building. And it was undertaken to demonstrate that you can do passive house in public housing. So that project is a great example of one that was able to receive that ICECF grant because it wasn't financed using low-income housing tax credits. So I'm going to say a few things about financing as we go. Just know it's not my wheelhouse. We have people that get paid to figure this stuff out, and I'm not one of them. But I did try to investigate what are some of these things that you guys might need to know as you're pursuing grants or you're trying to look at these rating systems. So and Catherine asked me specifically, well, why did Granite City get the grant, but some of these other affordable housings in the area didn't? And that is what it is because of those low-income housing tax credits. So I don't know if you guys use those or not, but I wanted to throw that out there. So there's some takeaways about living affordable housing. It's mission aligned, it's high impact. One of the things that really makes people excited about the Living Building Challenge besides that it celebrates people, it has a huge focus on health. So for instance, there's the red list. I don't know if you guys have heard of it or not. It's a list of, I think, over 800 chemicals of concern that can't be in building components in their projects because they're a known human carcinogen. It's an endocrine disruptor. It's a reproductive disruptor. And so you're automatically gifting these occupants of these buildings with greater health by helping them avoid these chemicals of concern. So also I would say that, you know, affordable housing residents are often behind in healthcare because they haven't had access to all the conventional healthcare that, you know, other people might have. So building healthcare things like a connection to nature or a stair in the building, those are accessible stairs that people can do. Those are all health impacts that are positive that are really driven by the design and construction. So material selection, you know, and designing for great indoor air quality, access to nature is vital to physical and psychological wellness. On this next slide, the healthy materials market is scaling rapidly. I can tell you it is. I'm speaking to 500 people about it at a conference tomorrow, all about healthy materials. There's all these databases around it now. And living buildings improve the quality of life while reducing the cost of living for residents. I think that's really important. Living buildings have lower utility and transportation costs, provision to access to local and healthy food, reduction of healthcare, and encouragement of pride and engagement in your place and community. So I love this top one because it's a battle I fight like every day in my job. Art, you said people say sustainability and they smile and they get excited. That actually wasn't what I expected you to say, because sometimes in my life, when people say sustainability, people frown and they say, oh, it's going to cost more money. So that's why I love this top bullet point on this slide. Sustainability and affordability are not mutually exclusive. I like to use the example of a school. A school is going to hold on to that asset for 20, 30 years. And so for them, a front-ended investment in energy efficiency is going to pay them back over and over again over the years. Whereas a developer that wants to flip that building as soon as they buy it, there's no incentive for them to put energy efficiency measures in their building. They aren't going to realize those savings. They aren't going to realize those savings from the energy savings. So I'm just going to use my house personally as an example. My solar panels are going to save me $80,000 in energy bills over the next 30 years. So I'm going to save 3 times that investment. And that's a great thing to keep in mind. So net positive energy is being achieved on many affordable housing projects, and it's in reach for all. There's a lot of different ways to go about it. Obviously, photovoltaics are the leading one right now. But when you have a lot of land, you have a lot of options too. So geothermal, wind, ground-based solar. So let's go to the next slide. I just kept this slide because I like this. Affordable housing can serve as a model for all building types and showing that the living buildings are possible on all budgets and all climates and all communities. So strategies for success. This is really important with any high performance job, whether you're doing a LEED, a net zero, you have to start early. These concepts need to be implemented in the design, early design, conceptual design. When you're starting to think, we want to build a great project that's healthy for people and sustainable environmentally, those things need to be early conversations with your developer, with your owner, with your designer. There are things you can do to make a project energy efficient after the fact, but there's a big delta between doing things at the beginning and doing things afterwards as far as cost and time. So an integrative design process is a process where it starts really early, where you've got the owner, you've got the builder, you've got the architect meeting early to talk through the engineering issues, the conflicts and things. And having everyone on the page early on results in less conflict later and is a money saver for projects. So that's really what I wanted to say on this slide is like, if you guys do decide you want to pursue a high performance and healthy project, start that way. You will benefit greatly. If you try to do it after the fact, I have done LEED jobs where they tried to add LEED on at the end, and it's painful and it costs more money, and you just don't have as much opportunity. So I'm out of the Living Building Challenge presentation now and kind of go into some homemade slides I made for you. And I wanted to talk about a couple things that are financial. So the first, which I mentioned, is the Illinois Clean Energy Foundation grant, the Net Zero grant. This will pay up to $2 million of sustainability costs for a net zero energy project. It's only available to nonprofits. It can't be combined with the low-income housing tax credits, as we mentioned earlier. And then the project has to seek Living Building, any of those three programs, Living Building, Pedal, Zero Energy, or Full Living Building, or Passive House Plus, or Passive House Source Zero. The other important thing to know about this particular grant, were you interested in it, is there's like some timeframes associated with it. So they take applications in June and January, but you actually have to have expressed your interest and done some paperwork up to 3 months in advance of that. So there's some scheduling strategy involved if you try to pursue this grant. The next item I want to talk about is the ComEd Affordable Housing New Construction Program. I was able to introduce Catherine and another Lake County United person to Dan Mooring. He runs this program for ComEd. And what this is an energy efficiency incentive program. And pretty much every affordable housing project that Leah Pardo has worked on has participated in this program because there's some dollars involved that reward you for your investment in energy efficient measures. So really important to note, no matter what you do, if you're building below code, if you are designed below the energy code, you would be eligible, I think, up to $3.25 for every income eligible square foot of dwelling unit. So that adds up. I was telling Leo, I don't want to like tell our project secrets, but you know, we've had some projects get between $150,000 and $200,000 using this program, and that's not chump change when you're layering 9, 10 different types of financing to achieve a project. PACE financing, this is something I just wanted to throw out there. Like I said, I can't really speak intelligently about money or financing, but this is a program that is used specifically to underwrite sustainable measures on projects. I've put, and I'm going to be able to share these Leah Pardo slides with you. If this was something you would be interested in, I would definitely recommend you connect directly with Anna Maria Kowalik. But Lake County just got their PACE financing put together. I think their program is going to be up in about 60 days. It can be a viable measure to help you, but there's some criteria and things related to financing and affordable housing that I don't quite understand. So if that was something for you guys to look at, I would share Anna's information and tell you to talk to her directly. But she sent me an email with a lot of different things about affordable housing, like it can be used in this situation, but in this situation it can't. And it was fairly complicated. So yeah, that's that. And I just want to say, you know, I just talked to you about the most aspirational, moving, and beautiful green building rating system in the world. But that's not the only game in town. There are a ton of green building rating systems that you can use to achieve sustainability on your project. And at the end of the day, I think that is if our talking to you today helps you all to implement green building strategies on your building where you wouldn't have before, then I would consider this a success because it's going to have long-term positive implications on your project. But certainly, I'm a huge fan of the Living Building Challenge, obviously. But there's LEED, National Green Building Standard, Energy Star, Passive House, Enterprise Green Communities. So I'm just going to talk real briefly on this and a couple projects, and then I'm going to let Leo take us home and open it up for Q&A. So I've strategically within Leopardo been putting us in a position where we could deliver pretty much any high performance project our clients want. We have in-house net zero experience. We've done a lot of lead projects. I actually have a volunteer role with USGBC nationally. I run a committee. I am a Living Future accredited professional, which is a requirement. If you do a Living Building Challenge project, you have to have a accredited professional. That was like 36 hours of my life to get that credential. We've got Passive House certified builders, well AP. So we're definitely aligned for whatever. And then this is a really positive, this is a great project I worked on, the Independence Library and Apartment. You might have heard in the city of Chicago, they had a couple projects that were affordable housing combined with a library. So this project had, the first floor was a public library, and then there were, I think it was a 12-story building total. Oh no, 4-story, I'm getting my projects mixed up. But this project pursued LEED for mid-rise homes. It was our first LEED for homes project. And really, it wasn't stick built with wood. It was more built like a commercial building with metal stud. This has been just an incredibly positive project. It has won a ton of awards. It's seeking LEED Gold through the mid-rise homes. It did participate in the ComEd Affordable Housing program, which just another part is there's some contractor things that we do with that ComEd program, which is why I'm talking about it so much, because we have a leadership role in it too. Then there's the Ravenswood Senior Living. We're working on this one right now. This is a great example, and I really thought this is a good one to share with you, of a project that is not pursuing a third-party rating system for sustainability, but has implemented a lot of sustainable measures. So the city of Chicago has this City of Chicago Sustainable Development Policy. So this project pursued a bunch of options under that so that they could get permitted. And because of that, they then qualified for the ComEd Affordable Housing New Construction Program. So they didn't pursue a third-party rating system, but they're still going to get significant incentive monies for energy efficiency because they went below code. I'm going to let Leo take it over for these last few slides, and then we can answer some questions.
Awesome. So the last two project profiles that Patty just showed, that was from Evergreen Development, which is one of our big partners. And this project that we're looking at here, we're getting ready to ramp up on this. This is about a $100 million project that we're doing in Lincoln Park. So this is going to be a add-on and then also a rehab. So the two brown buildings on the left and right, those are going to be renovated, and then the center, that's going to be about 60 units that we're adding. And one of the unique challenges that we'll face with this project is we're going to be renovating while the tenants are in the actual home. So it's nothing that that we can't accomplish, but this is a partnership with Pearl Development out of Cleveland, and then also CHA. So this is one of our big spotlight projects that we're very much excited about. I'm going to go to the next slide, Patty. So before we kind of close it off, I'd love to open up for questions. You know, if anybody has any questions about Leopardo or Patty's talking piece, feel free to speak up.
And here's our contact information, and then I'm going to stop sharing.
Yeah.
Oh.
Uh-oh. There you go.
There we go.
Thank you. I couldn't figure it out. So can we answer any questions for you guys? We hit a lot of topics, and I'm so sorry that I talked so fast.
Thank you very much, Patty. That was fantastic. And Leo, thank you. That was fantastic. I do have one question, and you kind of started to touch on it, but I think if you can put yourself in our shoes and think about what we would have to ask, as we're looking at a developer like you or any other, what are the questions we should be asking ourselves about whether or not you're positioned in order to help us create like the greenest building possible? What should we be keeping in mind? What accreditations, what certifications, like what should we be thinking about as we're picking someone to help us build this?
I can talk on it a little. You want me to take the lead, Patty? All right. So, one of the big trends that we're noticing, specifically to affordable housing is design build. And Patty kind of talked about that, where when you're selecting, what building you want to go there in the partnership, it's key to start early. And the benefits of the design build is you're having the architect, the GC, and the developer all start the conversation in the beginning. So that's something that I would, put in the back of your head is when a developer approaches, you guys and say, hey, look, we want to build here, ask that question, like, what's your design intent? Are you guys, there's terms that we use, it's called merchant developers, where they come in, build 5-6 years, and I hate saying this, but the truth is they really don't care. They just come in, build it up, and then flip it, and then they're adios. So I don't think that's what you guys are looking for, so correct me if I'm wrong. So I would definitely ask that, like, what their design intent is, and then, and I'm, giving you guys some insider secrets here too, is, I asked them, like, how else can they give back to the community? There's a lot of different developers that we've approached that are, giving an additional $5 or $6 million to help with surrounding areas or parks or whatnot. So those are things that you can ask them. And a lot of these developers, they have the money. It's just whether they want to dish it out or not. So a prime example is on Monday, I was on a 3-hour web conference with this thing called C40. What they do is it's called C40 Reinventing Cities, and you had 4 groups that were literally design build, had architects, engineers, GCs, and they were presenting on affordable housing projects here in the city. And each of them were talking about what their design intent was and how they were going to give back to the community. And obviously, they want to build there, so there's no harm in asking them for a little extra to help in the community. So, and then I guess the other thing too is, whether I know you mentioned that a lot of people have kind of started buzzing the name affordable housing, which has become a really big thing, and not just in Chicagoland, but all over the country. I mean, one of the biggest retailers, Amazon, they're a prime example. I mean, they're spending billions of dollars just in the next 5 years in affordable housing. So whether it's affordable housing that they're going to, they want to build on that site there, or medical buildings or whatever, is just really think about how what they're going to do is benefiting the community versus their pocket. So that's really what I would hone on, and then the design build aspect. So another one thing I guess to add on too is, does it blend in with the community? You want it to be visually appealing too. You're not going to put a 80-story, high-rise right there. That makes no sense. No matter how sustainable it is, it just doesn't make sense. So those are 2-3 things I would just kind of focus and ask when clients are approaching you guys. So
I have just a couple of thoughts on that too. As you're talking to design teams and creating your dream team, I don't think that if you decided, hey, we really like the Living Building Challenge, we want to pursue that because it's awesome, I wouldn't exclude firms that haven't done it. It's extremely rare. However, I would look at firms that have a reputation for building high performance jobs, LEED Gold, LEED Platinum, other rating systems. I think, if you go and talk to an architect that has not ever designed a green building, I don't think you'll probably be successful if you're going for a high performance green building. The other thing that I've seen on a lot of these, what I would call community type projects, is that if they know their audience, often they will do visioning with the community or with the community members to find out what's important to them. is having a community garden where they can grow their own food an important aspect to them, or was nobody ever going to use it? You know, these things can help inform your design. What amenities on site are important? These are all, you know, things I would ask.
Let me ask you guys a question. What would you guys like to see in that open space? I'm just curious, you know. You guys on the board, Art or Chuck or Catherine, anybody?
Can I, that kind of leads to a question that I was going to ask is, so it seemed that the examples that you gave us were all multi-unit housing.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever done anything that with a, like a community within a community where there's maybe individual houses, townhouses, and affordable housing all within the same community, or again, with gardens or pathways or things like that? So it's more than just the vertical.
Just the right, yeah. So to answer that, to my knowledge, I don't think we've done any like, you know, community like build outs, but we are actively right now, the Leopardo family owns some land in Plainfield, and we are building 70-some townhomes, like a rental community. And then also we're looking with another potential client in Highland Park for another 22 units rentals there. So, but we haven't done any projects off the top of my head besides just typical residential. So, yeah. It's not to say we're not open to it. It's just kind of like what the demand is and whatnot. And sorry to cut you off, Patty. Especially right now, you know, we're not seeing a demand for office space right now, and I think that makes sense why.
Right.
So, yeah. So, you know, we're looking at industrial. That's huge. I don't think you want to put a big metal box in your neighborhood. So, you know, the other 2 or 3 really is educational, but does that make sense? You know, put a higher ed space there. So it really leaves it down to 2 things, which is medical, or excuse me, 3 things: medical, hospitality, and then multi-residential. And multi-residential is really booming, not just here in the Chicagoland, but nationally. So that's why you hear, you know, residential a lot. You know, like, because it just makes sense. So.
I just wanted to say that I'm going to throw another thing in the Dropbox folder of resources for you guys. And originally I didn't think it applied, but now that you asked that question, I think it might. So, you know, there's like the Living Community Challenge where it might be, or Leads for Campus, you know, where it might be more than one building, maybe numerous buildings like you're talking about. We've done a lot of like campus type work where there are multiple buildings, you know, that are part of a master plan. So I can share some information with you about that too. I do think there was one case study, Leo, that we did remove for this that was more townhomes as well. But yeah, we haven't done like, we don't really do, we would do single family homes likely if it were part of a campus or, you know, a development like that, but we don't do like one house. You know what I mean? Like not just a single family residential.
But you do
That's definitely not
communities.
our purpose, is to do one house.
Yeah.
What were you saying, Chuck?
You do planned communities though? Multi-residential planned community campuses, things like that, if you wanted to have, you know, if you wanted to have a medical facility there, and you wanted to have a community center for the residents, and you wanted to have a community garden, something like that.
Yeah, we don't have as much experience in it, but prime example right now is in Oak Brook. We're working with Heinz, the old McDonald's headquarters. That's a perfect example right there. They've got the MOB building. You know, we're going to hopefully be able to do the residential, and they're going to have some commercial space and open space retail. So yeah, it's not that we're not capable of doing it. It's just is a relationship there, is it strategic? So. But we are open to doing that. So,
how big is that campus?
Oh, I got to get off. I don't know off the top of my head. I can email you the master plan. Actually, I have it, just so you can kind of skim through it. But I don't remember off the top of my head. So
I just remember going to meetings there years ago.
Yeah, I was going to say we're working on a lead for campus project right now, which is the Continental Towers project. That's already built. They certified for campus, but we've also, you know, with our education and our healthcare groups, we've done a lot of these like campus, not necessarily residential campus, but campus level projects where there's multiple buildings and amenities.
What traction, I am curious, what traction have you guys gotten so far? Like if you're able to share, like who's come out to you? Was it residential builders or commercial, or has anybody shown that as much interest in that land yet? I'm just curious.
It's been more grassroots and community traction, you know, people in the community, adjacent businesses, that type of thing. We know we do have a couple developers that we've worked with before on some projects in the area, and they were interested, the Bueller's group and those areas too. But right now we're really, as Art said earlier, we're in the research phase.
Yeah.
And but from going to our congregations, going to our listening sessions, I think one thing that we hear loud and clear is that people want this to be sustainable. They want people to have pride in it. They want it to be green. They want it to be efficient. They want it to be, you know, 21st century.
Yeah. Well, you know,
there's another piece to this too, which is some of the people that we've talked to and said affordable housing, there's a stigma to that.
Mm-hmm.
So by bringing in the sustainability aspect and the environmental aspect also raises the level
100%.
just from part of the community about that.
Yeah, it's all those that. Go ahead, Patty.
I just wanted to circle back and tell you not to forget your power. You know, you can work with your community and local government and say, we want a bus stop at our site. We want public transport available to our community. Those are amenities that will be so helpful to your residents. And so I always like to tell people, you know, don't just look at what's zoned or whatever and accept that. Go back to the table and say, we want this, and see if you can get it, because your people are going to benefit from it.
The other thing I was just going to say is power of the people. You know, just it's always good to ask, you know, the neighborhood what they would like to see in there. Just I'm sure you guys have already done that through your congregations and everything, but sometimes you'll hear exactly from them what they want. You know, maybe the affordable housing does sound like a good idea, but the stigma behind it, or it just doesn't make sense. You know, those are different things you guys have to kind of think about. So, but yeah, hopefully whatever goes there, we can help you build it or whatnot. You know, we also have a development side too, so there could be an opportunities there. You know, it's a smaller development arm, but you know, we're always open to conversations as well. So.
Hi there, folks. This is Dave Wilms talking. I came late. I had another meeting, but I wanted to add that, you know, I'm working now with Libertyville United, which is trying to do affordable living at a site that's going to be cleared shortly. It's about a 6-acre site. And as far as getting input, I suggested that, you know, the city of Libertyville has their own plans of how they want to develop. So I think we need to reach out to their staff, including the village administrator. They've done village surveys, and they're also tied to the local kind of chamber of Libertyville. And they can help kind of guide with some ideas that they have been developing over the years. And that's real important, as well as reaching out to the local congressman.
Yeah.
Because if you can get congressional support and backing, that's really big, because there may be some funding for that kind of development, and offer some doors that way. So those are the two things there. And then the last piece, I know people have been talking about solar, and I tried to help there's about a 200 unit affordable living development down in Gary. And the problem that we had, I was trying to help them put solar on the roof. And one thing that's important to keep in mind, your roof systems don't all have to face south. As a matter of fact, a low pitched east-west roof system is really ideal because you'll get sun during the peak of the day as well as a little bit earlier in the morning, and a little bit later at night. And the problem that we had is that they were going to have individual units with their own electric meters, but they had all the meters tied into one central location, which was really far, far away from all of the local units. It was very centralized. And if they would have had their electricity drops and for, let's say, if you had a 2-story building and you had 4 units in one area, if they would have had an electricity drop for all 4 of those units and all the meters in one spot, that would have completely solved the problem of adding solar so that each unit in that complex could have their own solar power. And when you're doing a system on a bigger complex like that, the price kind of drops quite a bit. And I think that that's something that makes affordable housing even more affordable. Because you could probably
Dave,
yes.
I was just going to say, you just completely drilled home my point about why you have to start early, build these things into the design, and have everybody at the table. You just totally made my point. Good to see you, by the way.
But you're not seeing me. I'm in a hat and been outdoors, but meeting with folks. But well, good. I'm glad to hear that. And it does have to be planned early. And I think the community buy-in, that's so critical. Because you could have affordable housing in, let's say, a 2nd story, and the 1st floor could be commercial. And so if it's fitting some of the needs of the community, you can really do a diverse approach to development that everybody buys into and wants. So
yeah, one of the living building projects in the Gary, I think the one in Gary has a medical office building on the 1st floor that serves their residents, actually.
Sharon, you had a question?
Yes, I do. Dave, you mentioned Libertyville United that's working on a 6-acre site to plan affordable housing. Are you referring to our group, Lake County United?
Lake County United, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's us. That's,
That's,
we don't have the site, and we're not, we're not building anything yet, but yeah, we're planning to.
But the discussions have started.
Okay, thanks. Also, I was just wondering, I'd love to get your slides, Patty, if you can share them with this group. There's a lot of information that I didn't have a chance to write down, and I'd like to get that.
Yeah, so I can't officially share the living building slides, but I can share all the Leopardo slides. But I noticed that this was recorded. So those slides that I'm not allowed to share are actually on the recording.
Oh, okay.
So yes, I'm going to send Catherine a box.net link that has these documents in it after this, so that you guys can review them and share them with anyone that couldn't join.
Okay, thank you.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah, that would be great. And if Shaquille, if you can send me the link to the recording, I'll send it out to everyone with the link from Patty, and everybody can review all of the materials, especially those who aren't here. Any other questions for Leo and Patty before we wrap up? Okay, well, thank you so much for sharing your expertise. It was really beneficial and eye-opening, I think, for myself, and I'm sure all of us. So thank you for taking the time. Really appreciate it. And we'll, I'll definitely continue to update you, Patty, as we go through the process. And if certainly been grateful for all of the questions you've already answered. So thank you.
And if you guys have
my pleasure.
If you guys have any other questions, whether it's development or construction related, feel free to reach out as well. We're more than happy to be a resource for you guys. So
thank you so much.
Thank you very much. This has been really helpful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice meeting you. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care.
All right, talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.